to Cam 2 motor oil's like falling in love.
A running and a racing to make it the best. Cam 2. Stock cars, Indy cars, and all the rest. Cam 2. Change your own to Cam 2 alone. It's tough. You'll love it. Cam 2.
Hey, if Roger Penske is willing to risk a $100,000 car in a $1 million race on Cam 2, I'm with him.
Cam 2. You know it's tough, and you love it.
Hey folks, Dad here with Elevation Die-Cast Racing, and welcome to Racing in the Pass Lane 2024, the Big Three, where we're going to feature Ford, Chrysler, and Chevrolet models representing 4 countries, 36 teams from around the world. Come to compete to see who has the fastest stock car. The weight limit was 58.9 grams and restricted to cars from the 60s and 70s, consisting of the Big Three. This is going to be the qualifying portion of the race, where we're going to find out where everybody's going to seed. We have 23 Fords, 29 Chryslers, 14 from General Motors, 36 teams. Without any further ado, let's get to the top of the track. We have a track temperature of 65 degrees. First up, representing Team Canada, weighing in at 39.1 grams. It's the 69 Pontiac GTO. .208 Variant Skunk Works second run. 2084. So 208. Starting off top qualifying time. And for Variant Skunk Works second entry, it is the 67 Mustang, weighing in at 48.3 grams. Run 1. 2095. Run 2. 2098. Next up is a solo entry from Raging Ricky. It is a 1970 Dodge Challenger, 34.1 grams. Run number 1. 2134. Run number 2. 2127. Next up from Finland, Northern Roads Racing, with 2 Fast and Furious Chargers. This one being the first one, both weighing in at 58.3 grams. The next one weighs 58.5. Run 1 from Charger 1. 2062, resetting top qualifying spot. Run number 2. 2062, top qualifying time. All right, car number 2, run number 1. 2059, resetting TQ. Run 2. 2055, resetting TQ. Next up, one of 2 entries from Steel City Mafia Racing. It is the Greenwood Corvette 1976, weighing in at 36.3 grams. Run number 1. 2127. And run number 2. 2118. And with his second entry at 34.8 grams, it is another 76 Greenwood Corvette. Run number 1. 2117. And run number 2. 2110. Next up from 131 Diecast Racing, it is a pair of Roadrunners. This one at 56.7 grams. Run number 1. 2051. Resetting TQ. Run number 2. 2057. And with his second entry is another Roadrunner, 57.8 grams. Run number 1. 2084. Run number 2. 2090. Next up, a pair sent in by the Chase Family Racing. We're going to start off with the 62 Corvette at an even 45 grams. Run number 1. Sounded good. 2071. Run number 2. 2069. And the next entry for the Chase Family Racing, the 70 Dodge Charger at 58.5 grams. Run 1. 2076. And run 2. 2078. Next up from E67 Diecast Race Team, first of 2 entries, the silver 65 Mustang convertible, 49.3 grams. Run number 1. 2092. Run number 2. 2097. Next up will be the 43 gram Chevy Camaro from 1967. Run 1. 2122. And run number 2. 2118. Next up will be a pair from Arlo Racing. This being a 56 Chevy truck. Unfortunately, has a DQ tag. He'll still race. Let's see what he runs. 2086. Run number 2. 2079. And while we are on the DQ subject, the next 3 are DQ. This is a 2015 Mustang. This is an 80s G-body Buick. And this is a 2017 Lamborghini Urus. Not even a part of the big 3, but we're going to let them roll anyway. And just know that they will compete. They just will not be eligible to win the trophy. Next up for Arlo, the 50 Chevy Stalker, run number 1. 2074. Run number 2. 2073. And I just remembered why these are here. These 2 will be coming out of the lineup because they were meant for testing at a different date. So next up will be a pair from Rusty Rods Racing. We have the 71 Mach 1 Mustang driven by Cletus, weighing in at 39.6 grams. Let's see run number 1. 2126. Run number 2. 2117. Second entry is the 71 Dodge Challenger driven by Rusty. Run 1. 2149. Run number 2. 2129. Coming to us next from Poverty Hollow Diecast Racing, the 73 Breakaway El Camino. He weighs 52.6 grams. Run number 1. 2066. TQ still held by 131 Racing at a 2051. Grand Prix Camino, run number 2. Sounds good. 2066. Pretty solid and steady. Next up, the 52 gram show off 1972 Dodge Charger. 2063. Run number 2. 2057. Oh, my Lanta. Next up, racing for Milestone Racing in the Spectraflame Roadrunner. 56.9 grams, one of his first two entries, run 1. 2055, run number 2. 2058. And with his second entry, the 58.5 gram 70 Fast and Furious Dodge Charger. 2057, run number 2. 2065. Next up, all the way from Germany, from Ralph Udo Racing. This is Princess Clutchburn in the 50th anniversary Mustang with his solo entry. 57.2 grams, run 1. 2069, run number 2. 2073. And first up from Bavarian Diecast Racing, the 58 gram 70 Dodge Charger, run number 1. 2062. And run number 2. 2054 Wowzer. And for Marcus's second entry, it is the 67 Spectra Flame Shelby from the Modern Classics. Let's go. 2063. This one coming in at 55.3 grams. Run number 2. 2059. Here comes number 1 of 2 from Your Nightmare Racing. It is the 70 Plymouth Roadrunner, and he's coming in at 56.5 grams. Run number 1. 2065. Run number 2. 2071. And for Bo's second entry, it is the 50th anniversary Mustang. Very sharp casting. Run number 1. 2073. Run number 2. 2070. Next up are 2 sent in by Low Country Diecast Racing League from Flipstrip. It is 2 Maximus Chargers, and they both weigh the same. Coming in at 53.7 grams. Run number 1 for Maximus number 1. 2064. Run number 2. 2072. And for the second Maximus, 2061. And run number 2. 2066. Next up from Team Puffs Racing, this is Riot Isaac in a 68 Corvette Grand Sport weighing 35.2 grams. Run number 1. 2118. Run number 2. 2115. And next up for Puffs Racing, it's Baby Richie in the 67 Copo Camaro. 2091. It's pretty good. And run number 2. 2089. Getting faster. Oh yeah, we're rolling safe. Next up would be an 81 front-running Fairmont. This one by Team Pure Racing. One of 2 entries, 51.2 grams. 2075. Unfortunately disqualified because he is a 1981. Run 2, 2073, but he will still race. And his second entry is the beautiful Spectra Flame Shelby 67. 2084. Run number 2. 2084. Pretty consistent. Next up, all the way from Canada, it is 4114 Racing. First up is his 73 Ford Gran Torino, 50.7 grams. 2106. And run number 2. 2099. And with his second entry is the 50th anniversary Ford Mustang. 2087. Run number 2. 2093. Next up is a 45-gram lone entry from Team Kamikaze Racing. It is the 67 Camaro. 2117. Run number 2. 2110. All right, next we have up no stranger to Mile High Raceway. It's Victor Fastlane from Knobby Ridge Dragway with his first of 2 entries in the Ford Mustang from 1970. 2104. And the second run from the Boss 302. 2102. And his second entry, 65 Comet Cyclone Gasser. Run number 1. 2112. Run number 2. 2101 Gaining Speed. Entries number 40 and 41 come to you by the way of Scale Racing Channel. First up in the 57.7 gram 61 Chevy Impala from the Fast and Furious series. Run number 1. 2049 Resetting TQ. And run number 2. Smooth as glass 2052. Top qualifying time now 2049. And with his second entry, it is the Spectra Flame Fast and Furious Roadrunner. Run 1. 2063. And run number 2. 2058. And with that one, we're going to take a break and take you to this commercial while we clean the track for the next 26 runs. There'll be 52 altogether. Or run a piece. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Not everyone will understand the language spoken by this Chevy Camaro. For those who understand the language, we recommend the car.
All right, welcome back to Racing in the Pass Lane qualifying. Our street sweepers are just finishing up. We're going to get back to the next qualifying round of racing here. We're going to start it off with a solo entry from Fat Dad Racing. 55.7 gram Chevy Nova wagon from 1964. Run number 1. 2113. Run number 2. 2116. Next up from BFG Racing, it's Mr. BFG in his Fast and Furious 54.7 gram Mustang. Run number 1. 2066. Run number 2. 2067. And for the second entry, it's Mrs. BFG, which comes in at 61 grams. We'll still race. Qualifying 1. 2064. And run number 2. 2064. Pretty consistent. All right, next up, driving for Team Slandman Customs. Here's one of 2 entries. First one is the Ultra Hots 67 Shelby. Run number 1. 2084. 44.6 grams. Run number 2. 2079. And for his second entry, the 46 gram 68 Mercury Cougar. run 1. 2084. And run number 2. 2084. Next up, one of 2 entries from In Search of Speed Diecast. It is the 1979 Ford F-150. He weighs 49.1 grams. Run number 1. 2070. And run number 2. 2068. I gotta say, that's the fastest stock F-150 I've seen. And for his second entry is the 1975 Gold Hot Ones Corvette Stingray, 45.8 grams. Run number 1. 2071. Run number 2. 2077. Next up, a pair from Hot Nuts Racing Diecast. It's Craigster Sr. and the Johnny Lightning Dodge Charger. This one, 57.7 grams. Run number 1. 2083. Run number 2. 2082. And for his second entry, 53.2 gram Hot Wheel Dodge Charger. Looking good. It's got flames, so it's got to be fast. Run 1. 2085. Run number 2. 2089. Next up, it's a pair of Chargers from the Fast and Furious, the 70 Dodge Charger. One of 2 sent in by Dale over at DXP Diecast Racing. Run 1. 2071. And run number 2. 2070. And for Charger number 2. 2071. And run number 2. 2060. Wowza. Let's go. Next up, driving for Team Hot Rod Customs Racing, it'll be a pair of Fast and Furious. The first will be the Dodge Charger. The next will be the Plymouth Roadrunner. Dodge Charger driven by Hot Rod. Race 1. 2068. Run number 2. 2066. And driving the Roadrunner is Mrs. Hot Rod. Run 1. 2074. Run number 2. 2083. Next up will be a pair from Captain K Racing. First entry is a Fast and Furious 70 Plymouth Roadrunner. Run number 1. 2057. Wazoo, look at that. Run number 2. 2059. Good runs. Second entry from Captain K is going to be the 50th anniversary Mustang. Run 1. 2064. Run number 2. 2068. Next up, 2 entries sent in by Blue Line Racing. Both of them being the 50th anniversary Mustang. Run number 1, Mustang number 1. 2058. Run number 2. 2057. And run number 1 for the second Mustang. Wow, that's quiet. 2050. Wazooey, look at that. Run number 2. Oh, my Lanta. 2053. All right, the next 2 entries are from Bobby D's Lakeside Raceway. First entry is the Dodge Charger from the Fast and Furious 3-pack. 2054, nice run. Pass number 2. 2060. And for Bobby D's second entry, it is the Zamac edition of the 67 GT500. 2070. Pass number 2. 2071. The next 4 entries will be from Umi Re-Racing, the The first two we're going to see are from the driver. His name is Kai, and this is his 50th anniversary Mustang. Run number 1. Kai with a 2062. Run number 2. 2059. Oh, my Lanta. That's a good run. Second entry for Kai is the Tomica 73 Dodge Monaco Taxi. No, this would be the Dodge Cornet Taxi. Run 1. 2063. Wazoo, look at that. Tomicas do like my track. Run 2. 2072. Next up from the father-son duo is Jason in his 69 Camaro Spider-Man Johnny Lightning. Run number 1. 2063. Pass number 2. 2063. Very consistent. And for his second entry is the 61 Impala from the Fast and Furious. 2054. And pass number 2. 2062. Next up, a solo entry from Motor Mouth Racing. It is Jerry Holly in the Troll from DreamWorks. Pass 1. 2133. Oh, Jerry fell. And pass number 2. 2138. And for the last qualifying run entry, it's Numbskull Racing. 1 of 2 sent in. Driver is Numbskull. And this will be the 67 GT Shelby. Run 1. 2064. Pass number 2. 2069. And his second entry is the 70 Plymouth Roadrunner. Pass 1. 2086. Pass number 2. 2085. All right. They have all been ran. They've had a couple laps. Give me a little bit to go through the times, and we will be back after this. All right, and we are back. After crunching all the numbers, I'm going to show you each bracket. The numbers you see in pen on the left-hand side are going to be the qualifying number. The numbers you see on the right in marker, those are just the racing number. So going down, you're going to see who is in the first bracket and who is going to be in the first round of racing. There will be a winner from each bracket, and the 2 winners, just like in the heavyweight race, will face off against each other to find the ultimate stock car winner. And we've got that bracket there. In race number 2, here is who's heading up into the second bracket. Same thing applies here. The numbers on the right now are the qualifying number, and the numbers in marker on the left are the racing number. We're going to do our best to get bracket 1 ran and posted tomorrow night. So, there you have it. Our number 1 qualifier, Scale Racing Channel, at a 2049 with his 61 Impala. And the only one who didn't make it into the bracket was poor old Jerry Holly. He trolled himself right down to the end of the track here for a bird's eye view of cars getting to the finish line, well, before him. So that's going to do it for this qualifying round of racing. Everybody has been warmed up, and we are going to get to the race. I hope you enjoyed it. From all of us over here at Elevation Diecast Racing, if your car isn't fast, at least it'll look good on the shelf. See you on race day.